evening, everyone. I welcome Lakshit Jan, who is a Power Platform specialist working in one of the big MNCs. And today is the third session of our boot camp. In the first session, we learned about Power BI and then Power Apps, and now we will be learning about Power Automate from Lakshit. And this is a really important session, as is the last session. We will be learning about something automating, and then at the end, you will be finally nominating yourself for grabbing your vouchers and swags. So stay attentive. Over to you, Lakshya.
Thank you so much, Neha, for the introduction, and I highly appreciate you all for joining this session today. So let me give you a brief introduction about myself. So my name is Lakshit, and I have been working on Power Platform since last 2 years. So let me quickly share my screen up now. Can Neha, can you please let me know if my screen is up?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
I mean, can anyone let me know if my screen is up?
Yes, sir, it's visible. It's visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, before getting into the session, let me give you a brief output of what we did in the last two sessions. So, first of all, what is Power Platform? So, basically, Power Platform is a low code or a no code environment in which you can do things very quickly without pulling in much manual effort. So when we had our first session about Power BI, we learned how we can transform our raw data and display it in the form of very beautiful graphs. So this is the first session of Power BI, and I would highly encourage you guys to watch out the video in which we discussed about how to format data, how to clean raw data, how we can create relationships between them, and once we create the relationships, how we can display them in a form of very cool graphs, and then how we can publish that data to the cloud, which can later be leveraged to be shared with other folks in the team. Then in yesterday's session about Power Apps, we discussed how we can basically connect our app to a basically a data source that is on a SharePoint folder, and we can how we can perform CRUD operations on the basis of that, like how we can basically insert, update, and delete data sources from that. And this is how the app looked like when we created it yesterday. So similarly, we can create multiple applications, like we want to create a form based app, or we want to create a college management system, or we want to basically create a form based app which contains all the validations, or we want to create a leave application based app. So all these applications are supported in Power Apps. And for today's session, we'll be dealing about Power Automate in between in detail, and we'll also see what are its applications. So let's get started. So basically, Power Automate is an automated tool on Power Platform Cloud that allows us to automate our day-to-day tasks in Office 365 realm. Now, what does that mean? Suppose you receive an email on daily basis, and what do you want is that whatever the content of that file is, if it contains any PDF or a docs file, it should automatically get copied in a particular SharePoint folder. Or you want to send automated ping on Teams to a particular member in the team that okay, this is the task you have to do. Or if there is today we also have an planner task also that we can automate that using it. So these are all the high level applications of how we can use automatic through Power Automate. Now if you're going to see the Power Automate screen, so in order to navigate to it, you need to write flow.microsoft.com, and once you open this flow, you will see this basic screen. So if I'm going to see the home option, I can see like there are a couple of or like many templates which you can use to get started. If I'm going
I'm
to go to
sorry,
my
I'm sorry, sir. Sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt you in between, but can you share the link of Azure portal? Like someone is saying,
Okay,
how we get this website?
okay.
They
So
can do the hands-on with you, so that's why I'm saying.
okay. So let me drop this in the chat bot. I mean the chat. So this is the URL of this flow.microsoft.com. Okay. Now there are basically five types of flows which we can create. So an automated cloud flow instant cloud flow, scheduled cloud flow, desktop, and business process flow. In today's session, we'll be just dealing about these three, and these two are currently some different sort of flows which are not covered today. Now, automated cloud flow is that flow which is triggered or which gets started executing when an event happens. Like suppose a file gets inserted in your SharePoint directory, or you receive an email, or if there is an entry inside your SharePoint list. So all these comes under event based triggers which are called as automated cloud flow. The second one is instant cloud flow. So instant cloud flow gets triggered or gets started executing when you push a button control. Like suppose you have a button in your Power Apps, or you have a button in your Power BI and you want to trigger a flow. In those cases, you trigger an instant cloud flow. The third one comes a scheduled cloud flow. So scheduled cloud flow is a flow which you basically require on a recurrence basis. Suppose like you need an automated list of folks in a particular Excel that is hosted on a SharePoint on a weekly basis, or on a daily basis, or on an hourly basis. So for that sort of scenarios, you use scheduled cloud flows. Now let's see what do we have in automated cloud flows so that it makes more sense. So you can see all those triggers. So triggers basically define the initial point of execution of flows, like when your flow is going to get triggered or get starts executing. So over here you can see that it gets triggered when an item is created in a SharePoint list, or when a new email arrives on your Gmail, or when a new email arrives on your Outlook, when a task is completed. And all these triggers basically signifies that an event has started. So for those flows, you need an automated. When we go towards instant cloud flow, like a manual trigger flow, a Power Apps, or a Power BI button. So what does this means is like manually trigger flow will get executing when you click on a button in your Power Automate itself. On Power Apps or on Power BI, or all those sort of scenarios where you need to basically pull in a button, for those we create an instant cloud flow. And you want to, when you want to run a flow on a schedule basis, like I can signify the month, week, day, hour, second, all these parameters I can supply, and this flow will get start executing. Now let us understand what comprises of a flow. So let us see what flows I have created so that it would make more sense. And in between, if you guys have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Let me refresh the screen. I think it has freezed.
Yes, sir, we have doubt like right now. If you want to take it right now,
If it's related to the current process, we can take it now. But if it's a generalized, like what are the applications of flows, so we have a separate session for that in the last 15 to
so,
20 minutes.
so
So
let
if
me.
Mhm.
Okay, so let me ask, like Tarun Marwa sir is saying, like I have a use case, like I'm trying to Excel file from SharePoint that is updated daily and refreshing Power BI dataset, but it keeps on failing. Error message: failed to refresh data source.
Mhm. Okay,
So
so for these generic sort of sessions, we'll taking these generics like generic doubts at the end. Like if the user is unable to open this flow, or if he is having any access related issue to do anything right now, then I can take it right now. But for these general sort of doubts, I would be taking in the last 15 minutes.
okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
because we have to complete the session also.
Yes, sir.
So
And one more thing, sir. Can you please zoom a little bit, like the
okay,
Azure portal?
okay. Is it
Yes,
fine
sir. It's fine.
now?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay,
perfect. Perfect, sir.
okay, okay, okay. So let us, before we get started creating a flow, let's see what are the properties of a particular flow. So after we have created a flow, this is the first UI screen we will see. I will tell after this how to create a flow, but let's see what are the properties of a particular flow. So if you need to edit a flow, you just need to click on edit icon. Suppose, and all these actions are like saving a flow, how to delete a flow, running a flow. These are just the sample ones, but this, let's see on the top. This is a basically a turn off option. Like suppose you have a scenario that you have a flow running and you don't want to delete it, but you want to pause it for a while. So in those scenarios, you can turn your flow off. From this 28 run day history, you can check what's the output of a flow. Like This is basically enables us how to debug a flow, what were the our parameters and what were the outputs that are coming out of a particular action. So like just as I told previously, the first connector is always a trigger which defines where the flow is going to start, and the other actions apart from these, the trigger one, are all called as actions. I mean, all the connectors apart from the trigger one are called as actions, which signifies what we are going to do. So this is how you can debug a flow. You can check the outputs of what happened in the previous action. When you go to the right hand side, you can see all the connections. So suppose you are going to use an Outlook, or you're going to use an Excel based flow. So all those are going to get connected with your own credentials. Like you can see that the current user is Ayushi 319 and the connections were based out of that. Now let's create a sample flow from scratch to see what we can do. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to supply some parameters, and then I'm going to send an email based on that. So for that, I'm just going to click on new flow from the top, and then I'm going to select instant cloud flow, and I'm going to select the trigger as manually, that I'm going to trigger this manual. Now this flow is going to get triggered automatically. So let's describe some of the inputs which we want in our email. So I'm going to click on text. Now let's write it: first name. Now let's write text last name. Then let's apply some other parameter, like we want to show date. Okay, for that we are going to delete because we need to take the date time trigger. So for that we are going to choose date. Okay, so these are the parameters which we are going to send on our email. Now let's click on new step. So what do we want is we want to declare the variable where we want to keep the first name and last name. So for that I'm going to use initialize variable. I'm for basically searching any connector, I need to click on new step and then search for that particular uh, connector. So since I need to declare a variable, I'm going to choose variable from here, and then I'm going to choose initialize variable. Let's declare a name. So we are going to choose name as employee name. The variable name you can see over here. I'm going to give it string type. And now what value I want to assign to it? So basically I want the concatenation of first name and last name. So if I just need the first name, what I can do is I can select the dynamic content from here by choosing add dynamic content. I will just select the field I want. So I want the first name and I want the last name as well. So I can just write first name and then space last name. So it will concatenate first name and last name. But suppose I want to do it dynamically. So how can I concatenate the first name and last name? So for that, we can also create expressions. So for that, what I can do is I can just select the string operation for concatenating this one. And over here, I'm going to write first name. Then I'm going to give space. And then I'm going to give last name. Now we can see we have used the expression as well. So like whatever action we are performing, we can see the output of the above actions in the current connector. And also if you want to supply some sort of dynamic operation, then we can go from the expression part as well. So let's send an email to us. So what we are going to do is we are going to write send an email, and from here we can search the all the connectors which are available to us. So we are going to choose send an email of Office 365 Outlook. So over here I'm going to send myself an email. Now the subject is let's keep subject name as anything, right? Like demo test of flow. And over here I want to send all these details. So let me write that hi, the username can come from the variable. So we want to submit the current time. You submitted the response at. Now I want to bring out the current time. So for that, what I need to write is UTC now is is basically enables us to write the current time. So you can see from here as well. Now the issue with using UTC now is that we cannot see it in a particular format. So if you want to organize the current time in a particular format, such as like days and months, so for that we can also use the format date time function. So for that, let me show how you can write the expressions for formatting any date time. So from here you can see all the timestamps. It's UTC now. And then once I want to format in a particular way, suppose like I want to show dates, months, and year. So it will be formatted in that particular way. So this is how you can write on expressions, and this is how you can basically connect to different connectors. Like in the send an email connector, I needed the output of previous connector, which was a variable one. So I can call that as well. Now in this way, we can also apply many actions, like we can apply for each loop, we can apply if else loop, or even we can write the switch case expressions. All these things are supported within Power Automate. So let's save and run this flow if it works fine or not. So in order to run this one, we are going to navigate to the top, click on test, select manual trigger. I'm going to give it the permissions that it can run it successfully. Let me provide the inputs, and let me just give any trigger date. I have not used it right now, but let's see if it works fine or not. So an email will be received to us. Let me open my mailbox. So here we can see we have dynamically populated the username which we used while triggering and creating the manual trigger flow. And we can also see the date time was given in the specific format which we just applied. So this was just a small example of how we can use the automation flow to signify some dynamic parameters and send us an email. Now for the next demo, I'm going to choose a SharePoint file and then send it over an email, that how we can use it. So currently we are having a file called as flow demo in my SharePoint folder, sorry, in my on my OneDrive folder. And over here I can see specific columns. Now what I want is I want to basically search this file, and I want to send all these details to myself on an email. So how can I do that is, let me create one more flow. I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to choose instant cloud flow again. Let me choose employee details as the flow name. Now let us connect to this file which is on which is on a OneDrive. So for that, I'm going to choose Excel Online Connector. So for reading all the details which are present in this Excel, I'm going to use list rows present in the table action. I'm going to connect to this location, and then from here I'm going to choose a particular Excel which I want. So for this one, we had the flow demo Excel, and then let me choose the table name as well. So what this action will do is it will read all the rows that are present inside this Excel. Now let me click on new row. So I'm going to use more action. So what I want is I want to basically accumulate all the result in a form of a container. So what I will do is I will use select action. So it will basically organize this data over here in the form of table. So for that, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the value output from the above one, and for let me supply let me keep the header name. So for the first name, I'm going to choose first name. For last name, I'm going to choose last name. For department, we are going to use department. For age, we are going to use the age column. So we have now organized our SharePoint data in a form of a table using select action. Now next action I'm going to use is I'm going to use create HTML table, because we need to show this table in a form of an HTML format. So I'm going to use create HTML table action from the down, and I'm going to supply the output of the previous action, which was the select one, which I can search from here as well. Now, since we have got all our data, let us send an email to myself right now. So if I'm going to choose send an email action, so over here I can see all the details what I want to send. So let me send this email to myself only. So the user right now is Ayushi. Let's keep the demo test for Azure community session, and in the body of the email let me write some sample data. Hi Lakshit, please check the data below, and let me put the output of this HTML table down below. Let me save this one. So what will happen is this flow will read all the files that are present in the specific Excel and then send me in an email. So let's run this. So we'll click on run, we'll click on manual. Let's click on continue. So now we can see we received an email. So yes, you can see we received the data in this format. And subsequently, you can see that this HTML table is not looking that much beautiful, but definitely if you're going to provide it some HTML code, there is separate action inside Powerflow where you can supply all the properties and you can make it as beautiful as possible. So this was an example of connecting from SharePoint to Excel. Like, sorry, connecting to an Excel that is hosted in your SharePoint or on your OneDrive folder and then sending us an email. Subsequently, we could have sent this on our Teams ping as well, or we could have easily connected our flow to our Power App or a Power BI and do any operation in that. So Power Automate gives us the facility to connect to any connector that is not only present on our Office 365 realm, but it allows us wide range of varieties. Like we can also connect to a SQL connector, or we can also connect to our Azure data warehouse, or we can also send us all the details in a form of a PDF. Like what if our requirement would have been like all these details we don't want an email, but we want as an attachment on the top, and that attachment should be of PDF type. So all these things can be done automatically, and all the things and automation inside a Office 365 realm can be dealt using Power Automate. Subsequently, what if we wanted to filter this data? Like suppose I just wanted to select all those first name employees where department was suppose HR. I want the details of those folks which have departments as HR. So I can also supply conditions over here as well, like where department, the column name, EQ, suppose HR. So we can also filter the condition inside any data source. So like you can see this filter queries action is happening on a Excel. This filter action we can do on a SharePoint list, and this action can be done on any data source. Like we want to filter data on our SQL data source or on our Azure data warehouse. All these filter query are supported. Suppose you want to order your data by specific column, or you want to fetch the top count of anything, so you can see all these things and do it subsequently. So now let's see, and we should receive an email for only those folks whose department is HR. Now let's check and run this flow. So let's test this one now. Okay, we got some error. If in case we get an error, we get a very UI friendly screen to see what sort of error was. So on the top you can see there was an error over here, and I can go over here to check. So it is showing me it cannot find the department column. Let's check if the department column name was correct or not. Okay, we actually supplied the department in lowercase. So we must remember that it is type sensitive as well. Let's fix this one now. So using the failure message, you also saw that how we can deal with failures, or we can deal with the failure messages inside our Power Automate flow. Now let's check this one and run once again by providing the correct type case. So now we can see it ran perfectly. And over here, you can see it just fetched me all those entries whose department name was HR. So, guys, this was just a basic demo session of Power Automate flows. Subsequently, you can also try other flows as well. Right now, I have just shown instant cloud flow, but similarly, we can do for other flows as well. Like if you wanted to schedule a schedule-based cloud flow, if I'm going to create this one, so I can see schedule flow. Let me run it month-wise. Create this one. So what this will do is, suppose I want to send this Excel file on a like monthly basis. So this flow would send all these files on a recurring basis on a monthly wise. So this flow would run on a monthly basis. Like I just need to change the trigger from the. Let me check if there is something important I missed. Okay. Now let's see how you can basically share your flow with other members in the team. So this is the basic UI which we had seen previously. Now suppose you want to share this flow with other members in the team so that they can also access this flow. So for that, we are going to select that particular flow, go to share, and just type the name of the user. It can be any user like Rahul. So you can see this flow from here, and once you will select this, the name, the flow will get shared with that particular user. Okay, let's see other options as well, like all the flows which you going to create on your own are going to get visible under cloud flow section. Desktop flows are basically separate flows which we are not dealing with today, but these are those flows which are used to automate anything that is present on your own system. Like I don't want to confuse you guys, but if you are going to use desktop flows, so it will basically remember our clicks and then automate our clicks. But the cloud flows like we just created are those flows that run on our own cloud and can do automation you for all the Office 365 connectors. Now, if you're going to go to shared with me, so it will contain all those flows which are basically shared with me. Like I'm going, like if there is any other person who created the flow and that flow was shared with me. So all those will come under shared with me section. Now, suppose we want to create a flow quickly. So if you're going to navigate to the template section, here you can see predefined templates like uh, you want to receive daily reminders. So for that, you're going to click on this. And let's see one good example as well. Like suppose you have created a Microsoft form and you want to receive a Teams ping that okay, this the data has been submitted in that particular form. And also after that, you want to create a planner task. So you can do it from here. Subsequently, you can do many actions like suppose you are having a Google Drive and if you receive a Gmail email, then you want those attachments to go in your OneDrive automatically. So all these templates are available over here. So I would highly encourage you guys to go through these one and try these templates. Uh, all the connectors, like all the connectors which you can connect to are available over here. So using Power Automate, you can not only connect to all those connectors which is present in your Office 365, but you can also connect to connectors outside. Like suppose you want to connect to ServiceNow. Now we can see the ServiceNow connector or the Azure or the Adobe PDF connectors all are available. Subsequently, I want to connect to Azure. Let's see if there is connector. So you can see all these connectors are available for Azure. So it has many connectors, and feel free to try out to to do all this stuff. So this is what I had for today. I know I was a bit quick, but I just wanted to impart more time towards the questionnaire section, so that's why I just completed it in 30 minutes. So for next 25 minutes, please feel free to ask any doubts related to Power Automate, or any doubts related towards Power Apps and Power BI, or any doubts towards Power Platform as a whole. So I'm open to answer your any doubts. So I think we can get started for the questionnaire round. Neha, are you on the call? You can ask the user based questions. Are there any questions? I know there were plenty of them. Hello.
Yeah, okay. He added me. So yeah. So yeah, we have a lot of questions. So let
Mm-hmm.
me start with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, there was one scenario based by Tarun. So maybe he can connect with you separately. So we will be
Mm-hmm.
sharing the LinkedIn ID, and you can connect with Lakshit over LinkedIn for specific
Mm-hmm.
questions which are scenario based. The next question is by Pranjal Sharma.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to ask about, is it is Power Automate related to cron tab and anacron? So that's his question.
Sorry, actually, I don't have any info on cron tab. So
Okay.
if if you can give me some brief what is cron tab, I will be able to answer.
So I don't know. We can wait for Pranjal, or we studied about cron tab and like
Mm-hmm.
automation things, where
Mm-hmm.
in the system level the automation has been done. So
Okay.
it was like something like that. That's maybe related to
Okay.
that.
So cron tab basically automates anything on our own system. Like,
Yeah,
is that?
it has been done on system level. Like even if your system is shut down, it will be working. I'm not sure about
Okay.
whether it's cron tab or anacron, but yeah, one works when system is turned off also, and another works
Okay.
like when it's on.
Okay, okay.
So
I've got your question. So
mhm.
let me explain what is Power Automate. So Power Automate does not work on your system. It is not dependent on the files that are present on your system. Like, it works on all those connectors that are present on the cloud. So it does not matter whether your system is on or off, or whether there is any connectivity issue. It just directly connects to the cloud. So in the demo session also, you just saw that we were able to connect to the SharePoint files, and we were able to send us that in an email format on Outlook. So this ran on the cloud, the data was on the cloud, so there is no dependency on that. In case you need to automate anything that is present on your own system, for that there is a separate tool inside Power Automate, which is called as Power Automate Desktop. So let me write that name on the chat.
Yes, please.
So if you want to automate anything that is present on your own system, for that you have to use Power Automate Desktop. And for automation of anything on the cloud, you use this Power Automate Cloud Flows.
Okay. So it will be something like an application, like we have Word. It will be set on our desktop, and it will be automating thing using the files that are available on the system, right?
Yeah, for Power Automate Desktop, I'm telling this scenario
Mm-hmm.
would happen. For
Okay.
automating anything on the cloud, you have to use this Power Automate one only.
Okay. So the next question is by Yash Bhardwaj. How
Hmm,
to connect the Dataverse data from
hmm.
Power Portal without using list and form control?
Okay.
Okay.
So I think Power Portal would be Power Automate only. I mean, so uh, like what I'm able to grasp from this question is, like, how do we connect to Dataverse through Power Portal, means how to connect it through Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI itself. So it's very easy. In case you wanted to connect to Power BI, there was a separate section where you can leverage that Dataverse connectivity. If you want to connect to Dataverse through your Power Apps, there is a connector for Power Apps over there as well. Like, if you want to connect to Dataverse, I just need to search, like, these are all the Dataverse tables. So you just need to search your table. You will be able to connect to that. And in Power Automate, if you need to connect, you just need to go to like flow creation, or you can just go to your connectors. You can search the Dataverse connector as well.
What is Dataverse? I'm like a bit confused. I'm
Okay.
not able.
Okay, so Dataverse is basically a specific database that is present inside Power Platform. Let me give
Okay.
a brief introduction of Dataverse. So suppose you might be aware of SQL database. So
Mm-hmm.
what happens is with SQL databases, it is basically hosted in a system on the on-premise of our own organization, which is a bit typical to handle. But what does Dataverse do is it can handle your data on the cloud itself, and it gives us many facilities like you not only you can basically host data in a tabular format, but you can also post unstructured data like image files. So it also encourages storage of data as well. Like it is basically similar to Azure Data Lake. Like in Azure Data Lake, not only you can store your data in a tabular format, which is a structured one, but also it enables us to store our data on this format as well, like video or image files. So Power Platform has its specific database, which is called as Microsoft Dataverse.
Okay. So the next question is by Neha Vijay. Does
Mhm.
Power Automate connect only with Microsoft applications? What if
Mm.
like to do something with the Chrome or Google Calendar?
Okay, so like if you want to connect to Microsoft tools such as SharePoint, Office 365, or Planner, email, for that it will connect with free. But if you want to connect to any other thing outside Microsoft, then that connector might be premium one, and you might need to pay for that separate license. So for that you will need to buy Power Automate premium license if you want to go anything beyond that. But there are certain connectors like this Gmail one and Google Drive one. These are still available within the base package of your Office 365 connection. So for that you won't need to buy, but if you need to connect to Google Calendar and something like that, then I would need to check, but you can definitely connect with that as well.
Okay. Okay. Great. So the next question is by Kashish Bhardwaj. What do
Hmm.
Power Automate templates do?
Okay, so what do we mean by templates? Like template is something we are given a predefined structure and you can connect to it very easily. Like suppose my requirement was that on a schedule basis I want to send an email. So
Mm-hmm.
for that, if I needed to create it from scratch, I needed to click on create, then select automated cloud flow, then add all the connections. But since I see that template is already available, I just need to click on that template and then just click on after signing in, I will just need to click on continue. So an automatic, I will basically get an automatic flow which will get created. Right now I will need to sign in, but what will happen is like if I'm going to click on continue, an automatic flow will get created, which will look similar to the one which we created just now. So template basically gives us the facility to create a flow automatically without adding the connectors.
Okay. So the next question is by Yash Bhardwaj.
Hmm.
Suppose if we are working with Power BI and we have created three charts and three dashboards,
Hmm.
then how can we ensure that the same can be shared with your colleagues? Okay.
Okay. So for that, what you will need to do is like this is the uh, report you created. So right now I have hosted it on my own workspace. Now, if I want to share this report with my colleague, I think okay. So suppose I wanted to share this report, which was demo file. So what I will do is I will go to my uh, like I will go to the top. I will click on share and I will just write the name of that user. So that user will receive the link of this file and using this copy link, and I will just share with that user. So he or she will be able to access this Power BI dashboard as well using share option. But for that we'll need to publish this on the cloud, and once it is done, we can share that.
Okay. So the next question is by Aditya Mama. Can
Mhm.
you automate approval scenario in Power Automate?
Yes, we can do that one as well. Like suppose there is an approval scenario that uh, the user needs to click on particular option inside our email, that this is something that needs to be approved. Like suppose there is a we want to create a flow for leave approval. and our manager will basically get an option on our email that whether he can approve or disapprove. So once he clicks on approve, the action will get started. So for that we have a connector inside our flows. Let me just show that. Okay, so this was just a sample one, send an email. Let me show what do we have for options as well. There was something called as get options inside Outlook. Let me just click on this. Let's navigate to, yeah, this one, send email with options. So what if we want the end users to select a particular option? So if you're going to send this email to the end user, he or she will receive some options. So like right now we have these options like absent, like we want to give two operations, approve, decline to the manager. So once you give these options over here, the user will receive two options in their email, and once that is done, you can also record their input. So this is how you can do, or you can supply options as well.
Okay, the next question. Okay, the next question is by Harsh. Can
Hmm.
you call Power Automate from Power Portal?
Okay, Power Portal. Now I got this one. So he's talking about the Power Portal app. Okay, so like through right now we can only connect Power Automate through Canvas app only. So in Power Apps we have three types of app. One is Canvas, other one is module driven, and the third one is po- Portal app. So if you need to connect to through Power Apps, you just need to select the Power Apps connector for Canvas. But in case you need to connect it to Portal app, so for that, you will need to go through business process flow. So right now, this business process flow gets connected to model driven app. But I guess there is no connectivity through Portal app, but I will need to recheck if we can connect Power Automate with Portal app as well.
Okay. So the next question is by Harsh again. How can
Hmm.
I navigate across the Power App screens?
Okay. So in case he needs to navigate, what he'll do is like we were on screen one. We created this screen like screen one, display, edit. Now suppose I want to navigate from screen one to edit. Once I click on this button. So for that, what I will do is on the on select of this button or this icon, I will write navigate, and then I will supply the screen name. So what will happen is once I play this app and once I click on this button, I will be able to navigate to separate screen. So using navigate function on select property of any control will be able to navigate to any screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Next question.
So the next question is by Ashish Bhatt. What
Hmm.
is Power Platform all about?
Okay. So Power Platform is basically a low code or no code environment. Okay, let's forget everything. So like what does organization wants? Like organization wants that whatever our apps are going to get created, they get created very quickly without much manual effort, or you want to create automation flows like whatever information you get on your own email that gets applied to the SharePoint list, or you want to do cross platform integration that our teams get integrated within Power Apps, or you want to integrate Power BI within Power Apps, or you want to create basically quick UI based graphs. So for that you have Power BI. So basically Power Apps is a platform that gives us the functionality that we can develop our flows, our apps, our Power BI dashboards, or even our chatbots very, very quickly. And we can all integrate or integrate all these applications on a cross-platform basis within our Office 365 realm. So all these things are basically provided within Power Platform, which increases not only our productivity, but it benefits the organization as a whole. So this is basically the goal of Power Platform to maximize productivity, to reduce the development time, and also give the end user the facility that they can work across multiple platforms. Like, you can say if a person is a power platform developer, then not only he or she is a front end developer, but also they can also do backend development in SQL using a Dataverse. And if they want to create dashboards, they are also data analysts on Power BI. And also they want to create chatbots, they want to implement AI builder or machine learning capabilities. All those things are available, and the person can work on cross platform using Power Platform.
Okay. So there is another question by Yash Bhardwaj. Can I access
Mm,
local network on-premise data sources in
mm.
Power Apps?
Yes, you can do that. So that is, I think I would like to say that's a bit a tricky one, because there is no, I mean, there is no issue while connecting to a cloud data source. But in case you need to connect to any on-premise data, like on-premise data basically means is that any data source which is present on a particular system. So for that, what you will need to do is you will need to install gateway on that system. Like, let us consider an example. I want to connect to an Excel file that is present in my own system. So for that, I will need to install a gateway. So what will gateway do is it will create a medium that whatever data is present inside my Excel on a either on an on-premise system or either on my own system. So it will basically take the data and put it into our office, this Power Platform realm. So we'll need to create a gateway, and we'll need to connect that gateway over here. Like, if I'm going to open Power Apps or Power Automate, there is a separate option for connecting to our gateway. Once we get connected to that, we'll be able to leverage any data which is on our on-premise system to Power Platform.
Okay. So there is next question by Facts for Children. What is
Mhm.
SharePoint? So that's the
Okay.
question.
Okay, so SharePoint basically is a, a cross-platform solution inside our entire organization, where we can basically store our files. Like, you can take an example of Google Drive. What does Google Drive do? It basically stores your own data. But what if you want to share the data with members of your team? So for that, SharePoint is a library that can contain multiple files and folders that are meant to be shared with many members inside the team. Right now, I don't have access to SharePoint. I do have access for OneDrive. Like, OneDrive is basically similar to a Google Drive, which can only be accessed by us. But SharePoint is similar to OneDrive only, but it basically enables us to share our files with the other team members as well. So this is what a SharePoint does. Next question. Hello, Neha.
Let me add the
Is
another
there
thing.
any
Yeah.
break in connection?
No, sorry. Yeah, my other network is like not working. Remove that. Thanks, Lakshmi.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there is another question by Yesh Bhardwaj. What are the different
Mm.
license options available when it comes to storage aspects of Microsoft Power Platform?
Okay. So if you need to store data inside Power Platform, so if you need to store data, so for that you will need to have Dataverse, and Dataverse comes with the premium facility of Power Apps premium license. So basically, there are, like, I would like to say, four licenses inside Power Platform. One comes for Power BI. Now, suppose you want to work with other folks in a collaboration manner. For that thing, you will need to have Power BI Pro license. When it comes to Power App and you want to connect to any data source that is not present inside a Microsoft realm. So for that, you will need to have Power Apps Premium license. Similar things happen with Power Automate as well. Like, if you want to connect to any connector which is not in Office 365, or which is not a standard connector like Google Drive or Gmail, which is not comes under free license for Microsoft. For that one, you will need Microsoft Power Automate Premium license. And if it comes to Power Virtual Agent, which is used to create chatbot, for that one also you will need to have Power Virtual Premium license. So the license, I would like to say, it's a very huge, like, a huge topic to discuss upon. But in simple terms, if you have to analyze that, if you want to connect to any connector which is within Microsoft 365, for that one it is free. Outside it, you may need to you might need to give charge. And if you're going to create any Power BI dashboard, and if you just want to share with other folks for viewing purpose, you don't require license. But if you need to edit and work in a collaborative manner with other folks, for that you will require to have a Power BI premium license.
Okay. So I guess those were the question for today's session.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are asking about the Discord link and voucher feedback form
Mm-hmm.
link. So I will be sharing that link very soon. I have shared that with Lakshit Pand, who is our organizer. He will be sharing very soon in the chats, in the normal chats and in live chats as well. And yeah, that was all from my side. Lakshit, if you'd like to say something at the end and motivate the people for working with you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Neha. So it was a really beautiful session hosted by Neha and team. I would highly encourage you guys to be a part of this Azure Dev community and try to attend as many as sessions as possible. I know it's a bit tiresome to attend this session on weekend basis, but I can guarantee you these are very helpful. Apart from that, if you want to learn Power Platform, I will basically share my LinkedIn ID with you all guys so that you can connect. And apart from that, like I would highly encourage you guys to learn about Power Platform in detail, because this is a next level technology which is going to get access to most of the engineers and most of the folks in near future. And you can see that how your development will really get fast, and also the development learn time is very less. Like if you're going, and also the best advantage of using Power Platform is you can work cross platform. Like either if you are going to get selected in an organization, either you are going to be a front end developer, or either you are going to be a back end developer, or either you are going to be a cloud person. So basically Power Platform has given us the opportunity that we can do everything. So this is the opportunity you get, and that's why I would like to guys to learn this technology in detail. I think I will share with Neha my LinkedIn ID, and she will definitely forward me with you guys after the session gets over. And yes, this is all I had from my end. In case there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.
Okay, there is another question by Yash Bhardwaj. That's the last question, I guess. Can you provide the link for reading about Power Platforms?
Okay, uh, just give me a second. So if he needs to read about this thing in detail, I would like to highly encourage him to watch Raza Dorani videos and Dhruvin Shah, because they post really wonderful content. Let me give their names. So where's this? There is Raza Dorani, and we have Dhruvin Shah. So these guys basically post very fabulous content on Power Platform, and they would really encourage you to uh, work on this one.
Okay. So I guess that's all for the day. Guys, we will be have a look on the comment section below. We will be sharing the link for the form very soon. You please fill all the details very carefully. Like in the first thing, it will be asking you about your name, email, whether you have joined our Discord channel or not. You have to mention your username of Discord channel. We will be checking every detail. You have to make a post on LinkedIn telling about what you have learned in all those three sessions, and you have to surely tag Azure Developer Community in that. And later, you have to also update your skills as Microsoft Azure in your LinkedIn profile. You have to share your LinkedIn ID as well with us. And also, the two questions that you have to answer again for the session, what you have learned in the session. According to that, we have asked you some questions. Okay, so that's all for the
Uh,
day. Yes,
Neha,
Lakshya.
just before we get wrapped up, I have just posted my
Okay.
LinkedIn ID in the chat. So if anyone wants to connect with me, they can just click on this link and they can get connected to with me.
Yes, it has been shared in the chats as well. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
we can
Have a good
on the
day,
session now.
everyone. Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you,
guys.
Lakshya,
Thank you,
for
everyone.
coming. Have a good day.
Thank
Bye.
you.